Hi all. In today's video, I would like to discuss queen forks in a little more detail. The next few examples illustrate the idea of adding an attacker to a piece which is already defended once. If you aren't familiar with queen forks, I suggest that you watch parts 1 and 2 first. Anyway, here, it's white's turn. In this position, imagine what the board would look like after white exchanged knights. White's queen would be able to come to b5 and fork black's king and bishop. Although the bishop is already guarded once, it would be attacked twice and guarded only once. Hence white plays knight captures knight. After c6 captures knight, white forks with queen b5 and black loses his bishop. In this position, it is white's turn. Looking at black's pieces, we see that the c8 bishop is loose and h6 knight is under-defended. White plays queen c1 to add an attacker to the under-defended knight and also attack the c8 bishop at the same time. Black cannot save both of them. In the examples that follow, the queen will be used to attack two loose pieces at the same time. In this position, black simply moves his queen up to e4, attacking both the white rooks. This was a fairly simple puzzle. I'll deal with more complicated positions a little later in the video. Here it's black to play. Black has to do something about his light-colored bishop, otherwise it will soon be trapped. Bishop h5 or bishop f5 lose to g4. So the correct bishop move is bishop captures e2, so that if rook captures e2, queen d3 forks both the white rooks. And if white plays a different move, black gets time to retreat his bishop. Check out this position. It's white to play. Notice that black's rooks are awkwardly placed and susceptible to being forked. If white's queen could reach d7, black would lose one of his rooks. Since the king is already on h7, white can play queen d3, after which queen d7 cannot be stopped. If you need to get a piece to a particular square, try to make the first move a forcing move, so that your opponent's choices are limited. If white had started with queen d6, for example, with the idea of queen d7, black would have the time to move his rooks out of the way, and white would have lost the forking opportunity. In the next few examples, I will talk about how to use your queen to attack loose pieces while setting up a mate net or a mate threat. Sometimes checks are not able to pick up loose pieces, and sometimes you don't have checks at your disposal, so threatening a mate can be the next option. What would you play here as white? Notice that black is eyeing the f2 square. The most common move in this position would be to castle kingside to strengthen f2. However, if you think about mate threats that attack loose pieces, you might find queen d5. Now queen d5 threatens mate on f7 and also attacks the lone knight on e4. Black has to save his king and give up his knight. The best response for black is to pick up a pawn with bishop captures f2 before losing the knight. But white is up by at least 2 points of material. This time, it's black's turn. Black has a strong grip on the white squares close to the white king. Notice that white's back rank is also very vulnerable. Also, white's bishop on d5 is hanging. Take a minute and see what black can play here. Black plays the brilliant move queen h5. Now white doesn't have time to save his bishop. White's best response to queen h5 is f3. If white tries to save his bishop, it will lead to checkmate. For example, bishop b7 is followed by bishop h3, check, king g1, queen d1, check, rook captures queen, c2 captures rook, queening and mating. Hence black's best try is to play f3 and let his bishop be taken. Have a look at this puzzle. It's white to play. Although the black king looks safe in its castle position, it is vulnerable to mate on g7 if the white queen could get to e5. Of course, that is not possible at the moment, since there is a bishop on d6. But if the bishop on d6 was replaced by a rook, queen e5 would have threatened mate and attacked the rook. Thus white plays rook captures bishop. After rook captures rook, queen e5 pokes the rook and the critical g7 square, and black has to spend time on his king and forego the rook. Here again, it's white to play. Queen e4 would have threatened mate and attacked black's c6 rook if black's queen was removed from the defense of h7. It's easy to overlook the fact that black's knight on g4 is trapped after the simple h3. The only square it can go to without being captured is h6. This cuts off the queen from the defense of h7, and now white can play queen e4 without any problems. In this position, white takes advantage of black's weak back rank by playing queen a5. This attacks the rook on b6 and also threatens mate on a8. Even rook a6 loses to queen d8 mate. Hence black has to play something like h6, after which white wins the rook. This position is a bit more complicated than the ones seen so far, but it's very interesting. You can pause the video and see if you can find the best sequence for white. It involves applying all the ideas discussed so far. Okay, white plays knight captures e5 to make way for his queen to come to h5. Black can respond with knight captures knight, after which white has queen h5, forking black's king and knight, but black can simply block with knight g6. And now white comes in with the final blow, queen d5. This threatens mate on f7 and also attacks the loose rook on a8. Thus white has won a rook and a pawn for a knight and is up material.